Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. It's been a little while since I've done a live stream, so I hope that I've set it all up correctly. Yo. Cool beans. Right. So yeah, this is just a little demo I've put together. It's only like a minute or so. But yeah, a little demo just showing off a few of the patches from Forest Psy Vol.3. And yeah, let's take a listen and then we can talk about it and stuff. If you've got any questions or anything like that, chuck it in the chat and I'll try my best to answer them. All right. Ah. Can you guys hear my voice? You can't hear Ableton? No Ableton audio. Ah, of course. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Hopefully there's not too many hiccups. Let's try that again. Right, yeah, sorry guys. Hopefully should be okay now. You guys say there's still no audio. Okay, that's not good, is it? Right. Well, that is not good. That might fix it. Let's hope for the best. Because I don't know what else is going to help. Actually, do you know what? I'm just going to stick around in the chat for a second. Was there sound there? Yes, thank God for that. Right, that was yeah, slight crisis, wasn't it? Anyways, hopefully it's also in stereo. Hopefully, because there's a lot of stereo effects and stuff that are going to be in the patches, and you know that's kind of important, isn't it? Anyways, let's try that again. I'm just gonna play it through, and yeah. And for those of you who just turned up, welcome to the launch party. I've just released Forest Psy Vol.3 for Serum. This is the demo I'm just going to play through quickly, so yeah, here we go. Okay, so that's demo. Some of you saying it's a bit quiet. So is my voice a lot louder than the music? We'll quickly do this troubleshooting stuff very quickly, and then I'll get onto some of the questions. And obviously, you know, showing off some of the stuff. Yeah, so is my voice a lot louder than the music, or it's kind of a similar level? I can give it a bit more volume if you guys need. Fantastic. There's a little bit of like a lag between when I talk and what I see in the chat. So yeah, sorry if it's takes me a while sometimes. Wicked. Right, Krell TV has said it's all from the pack. So yeah, all of the stuff apart from these drums, they're not in the pack. But the kick drum is from Forest Kicks Volume 2. However, the bass is from this pack. Has got a little bit of processing, nothing crazy though, just a bit of EQ and Saturn. Anyhows, yeah, so let's take a look at some of the patches then. So, I'm sure plenty of you probably had Forest Psy Volume 2. So this pack has been in the works since then. Funnily enough, I did the video to show off Forest Psy Volume 2 exactly 2 years ago today, and that wasn't planned or anything. I just got like a memory come up on my like Instagram or something like that, and it's 2 years ago today. I thought that was pretty weird. Anyways, So yeah, this pack is kind of taken a long time to really get anywhere and flesh out into a whole pack, because I really put my all into Forest Psy Vol.3, and I still use it a lot when I'm trying to like make music and stuff. Yeah, and I kind of felt like when I finished that, I didn't really have any more sounds to make. So with this, I've had to kind of push it in a few different ways, like find reasons to make patches that are actually worthwhile, and not just, you know, more of the same stuff. But yeah, hopefully you guys will like what I've done. I put a bit of an emphasis on like making the macros even more powerful this time round as well, because I like that in patches. I like the patches to be very flexible and have as much different stuff you can get out of them as possible. Anyways, let's get a Serum up. And we're probably not going to go through every single patch. But yeah, let's have a look. Cool. So when you've installed it, you'll have these 5 sections. It says atmospheres, bass, bonus patches, FX, leads, and squelches. So the bonus patches we're not going to take a look at. It's mainly just like either stuff that was like kind of cool but not really like quite good enough to make it into the pack, or maybe it's just not appropriate for this type of music or whatever. And there's also patches where they were kind of the beginning point, or the sort of stepping off point for other stuff that did make it into the pack. So I just chucked it all in there. You might find some cool stuff in there, but yeah, it's up to you to have a look through that. But we will go through the other sections. So where to start? Let's start with the atmospheres. So yeah, if you had Forest Psy Vol.2, you'll know there's quite a lot of like sort of drone type atmospheres in there. I've done a similar thing with this one, just lots of drones, and you know, all with different textures, so they can kind of, you can find one that will fit in like whatever situation it is. There's also some atmospheres that aren't drones; they're like more cinematic and stuff. But yeah, we'll see. Just quickly read the chat and then carry on. Cool. Someone's saying, will we ever get Pigments Forest? Maybe one day. I haven't used Pigments ever since I made a small pack for Pigments, and I haven't actually turned it on since then. I do really like Pigments. I think it has a really, really good sound. I just find working with the modulation quite painful. Like, it doesn't quite click with me. I do really love the sounds that I get out of it. But I find Serum particularly and Vital to be very intuitive with the modulations and stuff, and that's what's important to me, because I like to focus on modulation to get textures and sounds happening. Cool, right, yeah, anyhow, so yeah, here's one of our Atmos patches. Okay, so yeah, it's just a drone. I've made it so that with the gating, the way I've set up the gating means that you can pull the gating into like the release phase if you want. So like you can have a nice long drone. Oops. Which is an effect I quite like, where it's sort of quite bodyful, and then as you let go of the note, it starts to like gate it out. Yeah, we've got control over whether it pitch bends or not, and we've got control over the ring mod that gives the overtone here, and obviously a space knob for, you know, how washed out you want it to be. And a really important thing to note is most of the patches in the pack will rely in some way on velocity. So bear that in mind when using the patches. This is more of a more sort of drone type thing. And for some of these patches, you'll notice where it says gate, it might be a little bit small for you guys, but it says gate, and a lot of the macros in this pack will have like a little arrow sign, and that is trying to tell you something. So for instance, this one, it's in the middle, it's doing nothing, but if we go left, we're going to get an on-off gate pattern, and if we go to the right, we're going to get an on-off, on-off, on. So yeah, the way that would sound is like this. So it just gives you the flexibility to choose what sort of gating pattern you want. Oh, awful lot of messages. Let's just quickly read these. Pigments is clunky. Yes, Pigments is quite clunky. It just sounds really good. I'm hoping they can bring out a version of Pigments that's a bit more intuitive. Even if there's like a modular version of it, that would be really neat. This pack works well with high tempo like Hitech, or I would definitely say the sounds will work with whatever style that you want to work with, to be honest. Some of the sounds will even work in like, you know, morning and full on and stuff. It just depends on the way you use them, really. So yeah, hopefully you can understand that gate thing I was saying. But yeah, you can have like a like a digga, or you can have just you know, straight rhythm, or you can have like a trance gate type thing. Anyways, this one, you might notice the names. I watched Aliens again recently and ended up getting inspired for some of the names for this pack. This one's a bit more cinematic kind of vibe. Hopefully you guys can hear it. I'll turn up a little bit. I really like the kind of metallic material-like thing you get going on with this sound. It's quite sort of visceral. And yeah, really lovely patches, to be honest. If I do say so myself, you know, get a lot of sort of juicy little artifacts from it. definitely is the sort of thing I would take it, record a load of stuff, and then manipulate it, through a load of plugins and whatnot, and get some really cool artifacts happening. Anyhow, also, if you go into different octaves, for instance, it says up here, actually, try a few octaves, so that's me saying, it can sound cool elsewhere as well. And if you go really low, you get some gnarly stuff going on too. Really nice. Anyways, this one is... sort of semi-organic-y little thing. We can control the kind of speed of the amplitude modulation. Yeah, some weird stuff going on there. There's some quite experimental patches in this pack, just so you're all aware. Because I think I had to get a little bit crazy with it. I'm pleased with what happened though so far. Just quickly reading what it says over here. I wonder if there's a way I can make the text a bit bigger. Sick. Yeah. So yeah, we've got more sort of drony stuff as well. Again, more drony stuff. I'm not going to go through like every single one that's quite similar. They're all just different textures and wavetables and whatnot. So you've got a nice collection of complementary drones. Also worth noting, lots of the patches will have mod wheel assignments as well, so definitely look out for those. I'm quickly just going to chuck a random velocity in, just so that we get to hear a bit more variety going on. So I mentioned earlier about these little arrows in the macro names. So here we can see it says texture, and a little arrow to the right saying velocity. So that means we're going to have control over the texture with the knob, but if we put it up to 100%, so all the way to the right, it's then going to give control of that texture to velocity instead of this knob, so that, you can control it how you want to control it. It's kind of convenient for the sake of this to have it on velocity. Yeah, so more drone. This one maybe more drone. Let's see. Okay, yeah, sort of. Also, I know I said it in the chat already, but just to make sure everyone knows, for a short period, the pack has a discount for the introductory price. So if you want discount and you do want to buy the pack, that is, at checkout, just use the code INTRO. So INTRO. Cheers. Right, let's continue. Yeah, thanks, Dada, for popping that in the chat. I really appreciate that. Yo, everyone who is watching, by the way, if I haven't said hi. Thanks for joining. We're just checking out the atmosphere patches. This patch has some kind of interesting stuff going on behind the scenes, if anyone's interested. So, it's kind of like these two oscillators take turns. So it'll play one cycle of one oscillator and then one cycle of the other oscillator, and then they, keep going like that. So you kind of have almost two sounds happening together, and but you can manipulate them separately, which can lead to some interesting stuff for various different types of sounds, really. Quite cool. Anyways, let's continue. ATFE says, always as much info as possible. I'm more than happy to waffle on about these patches for quite a long time, but I'm not sure if everyone really wants to hear about the deep modulation stuff. But I will cover some stuff if there's questions about it, that's for sure. This patch, I quite like it. It is one of the drone patches, but it's slightly unique compared to the other ones. It can do kind of a glassy thing, or a vocal type thing, or what I think is a vocal type thing, anyways. So the glassy patches, the glassy stuff it can put out is something like this. I did actually fire up my virus just to make patches for this pack, because I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna come up with stuff for this pack. But yeah, that was pretty helpful. It's definitely most expensive wavetable making machine I've got, but it's worth it. Well, I suppose these days you can just use a stylus, can't you? So yeah, just do that instead. It's actually better. Just quickly read some of this stuff. Lots of messages. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with the atmosphere stuff. I mean, there's only so much you can do in the synth to make a really nice dark atmosphere. A lot of what I would do usually, and a lot of the best results I've had from, you take cool stuff that you've either made in a synth or just audio that you found, and then render to audio and mess with it, stretch it around, put it through loads of effects, etc., etc. But I think some of these are a good starting place. Even raw, to be honest, some of it's quite nice. So anyway, the sort of voxy stuff you can get out of this patch. And yeah, you can see on all these macros, we've got the arrows, so glass this way, vox this way. On this one, cut off all the way around. If you put it all the way to the end, you'll get velocity control over that. Here we've got panning. So if you have it off, it's just going to come straight down the middle, like standard stereo-y thing. But if you pop the panning on, you're going to get it. I'm pretty sure it alternates from side to side, but moves as well. And then on the gate, it says gate to release mod, so you control how much gate, and if you put it all the way up, it only turns the gate on, or it blends the gate on, blends the gate in when you let go of the note. Which can be quite a neat effect. It's like I said earlier. Okay, and then we got more drone stuff. Fairly simple, that one, but sometimes simple is good. Then we got these whaling station patches. These are really unpredictable. Well, I say really unpredictable. They are a little bit unpredictable. So my advice, really, how I've been using these in my own productions, my own little works in progress or whatever, I've been taking these and then I've just been turning off the effects section and then recording a load of it and then putting Serum effects on the channel, on the audio channel, and then just load this preset in Serum effects, and then you just get all the effects that you did have on. Because I really like to mess around with the raw audio that comes out of these things, these whaling station ones. So yeah, let's have a listen. Turn up a bit. It doesn't always spit out crazy stuff, but sometimes you get these weird, like, sort of trill type things out of it. So yeah, and you can also play this across the keyboard at various places because it's just a weird noise, so it doesn't really matter. You're just going to get different, spectra really, and the modulation's going to act a little bit differently. Continue. So yeah, there's a few of these welding station patches. They all have a bit different thing about them. Okay, and there's just final one of those whaling station ones, and we'll skip that. And then we got one more drone. This one's got kind of bell-like timbre to it. I realise it might be good to have some context. So maybe we should have a kick and bass, either low or high one maybe. Let's actually try a chunky one. This will do the trick. Yeah, perfect. This way I can control the pitch of everything going on as well from my keyboard, so we can try a few different like notes and whatnot. Yeah, let's do it like this. Just a second whilst I quickly find this Max for Live plugin. There we go, cool. Right, and let's put in a long note. Because we're going to end up wanting stuff like arpeggiators and whatnot. So let's just chuck those in there. Okay, so yeah, that's a quick overview of some of the atmosphere patches and some of what can be done with them. Let's move on. I guess it doesn't really matter which one we go for next, but you guys can choose in the chat if you're FX section, lead section, or Squelches. So Squelches is not very big in this pack because I went quite extensive on those in the previous pack. Leads is medium size, and then FX is quite big. So I'll leave it down to you guys to pick one of those. And I'm just going to go with whatever I see on chat first, pretty much. Looks like it's leads. Cool. Alright guys, let's get on with the leads. So, I was really concerned about the leads for this pack actually, mainly because I was thinking I really didn't want to just make like, you know, a load of sort of fairly basic FM leads and that's kind of it. It's just a quite easy thing to fall into doing when doing leads for kind of psytrance in general, to be honest. But I think some of them are a bit more interesting than that, so let's have a listen. Just quickly configure the macros and stuff. Okie dokie. So we'll just leave on velocity mode for the moment and see what we get. Let's have autoplay do the job here as well, because it'll be a little bit less static. Sometimes that can be nice. Okay, yeah, so in this one we've got control over the carrier pitch, so the sort of texture of the FM, you've got a bit of control of here. Okay, and then we got control of the mod depth, so how much FM, I assume how much FM. I don't remember everything I've done in this pack, but I'm going to assume it's the amount of FM. So yeah, it's a fairly straightforward lead sound, but there is a bit of like life to it, you know, a bit of slightly more interesting timbre going on. And also you got control over what's there. In the macro 4, there's, on pretty much all these patches, or well, at least most of them, you're going to have a choice between two things on macro 4. So in this one it's dimension expander or delay. So, you know, do you want it to be wide, or do you just want to have it delay off into the background? So yeah, if you want it to really, really take the focus, you can have it go into the dimension expander. Or if you want it to sort of wash out a little bit, or you've got a part of the track that's a bit more sort of wiggly, then you can just delay it. Okay, and then we've also got our mod wheel, which is going to do something, because I haven't written a description. My bad, but yeah. Anyways, always check the mod wheel, because there's often something on it. A lot of the time it's like a comb or something, but yeah, let's see what we've got. Yeah, it sort of morphs into, if you go all the way, it morphs into like this static tone thing. And you go sort of somewhere halfway, or anywhere in between, you're going to get the sort of slightly squelchy thing. Or if you go all the way down, you've got the FM tone. Okie dokie. And then this next patch is also alternate version of that last one. So it's going to be similar. It's just going to be set up in a different way and sound a little bit different. It's sort of similar, so we're just going to skip over. Okay, then we got this one called Bandpass Warp. Okay, cool. So in this one, we've got filter FM, and we can choose, do we want it to be positive or negative filter FM? And this gives it that kind of almost wet sound. I really like filter FM. And we go into a negative filter FM. It's similar sound, but just a bit different. Okay, cool. And then we got some triangle FM. If you want to dirty it up a little bit. If we look at the description, it says MW is random pan, so mod wheel up is just adding a note on random for the panning. We've got comb macro here, so what is really nice in this pack, versus Forest Psy Vol.2, is that if you had Forest Psy Vol.2, you might notice that it came with a skin. This one, which has the numbers that, the hertz values that you'd need to type into the FX filter to tune the comb correctly. Thankfully, in this version, in this pack, you don't have to do that. It will just automatically find the correct pitch for the comb. So you can turn the comb up and play any note and it will just track properly. Which is pretty neat. And it's cool as well because the type of modulation I like to use, and I use this noise oscillator a lot for FM and type things like that. That mixed with the comb filter is awesome because both of those react to which pitch you're going to play. So it means that you can play a lot of these patches sort of anywhere across the keyboard, and it doesn't just fall into a total mess. You just it just gets different textures. So if I quickly get a pitch MIDI thing, we go -12, it'll just drop the comb down an octave and we'll get that kind of delay-like effect from it. I'm also just going to change the pitch of like the whole thing so you can hear it on some different notes. This is an A sharp 0, by the way, so it's pretty low, but let's hear it higher up. Pretty nice. I really like the place where kind of almost percussive sounds meet with tones and like sort of synth tones and leads, and you start to get quite a cool thing going on there. I'm just going to quickly read the chat if there's any questions or anything. Stefan said, feels like Shep rediscovers what he did here. Yeah, definitely. A lot of the patches, because I've been making this since very slowly since I've released Volume 2, which is 2 years ago today. It means that there's some patches that I haven't really been touched in quite a long time, so it's quite fun for me finding out what some of the stuff does. Oh, Stefan said, how did you do the pitch correction? I'm going to make a video on it, but I may as well tell you now. So to get the FX filter to track properly, you just turn it all the way down, put the note modulator on it, and it will immediately go to 100. That's what you want. And then just chuck any two modulators on it. I tend to just choose modulators that I never use, so maybe like MPE or something. So yeah, do two of those, and then you pop into the matrix and find them, and you see that these ones say fixed. So you find the modulators that you added on, say MPE or something, change them over to fixed, and then you have to correct the hertz value by having minus 0.27, and it's not totally perfect, but it's more than close enough for me. Yeah, so set one of them to minus 0.27, and then on the next one, you can choose the octave. So I tend to just go into the modulation amount and put minus 12 semitones, and that'll drop the whole note modulator down an octave on that parameter. Yeah, and then it will track close to properly. Good enough, at least, for, you know, a few octaves are definitely perfect. So yeah, I'll make a small video on it soon. How did I find that out? Lots of messing around. Just writing in numbers, and then seeing how close it was on a tuner, and then writing a new number, you know, and just keep going back and forth until it's about right. Okay, let's go to another sound. Okay, yeah, so that one was called Crowbar Sus, and this one's just Crowbar. So when it says Sus, it just means the sustain is all the way up. So the ones that, if there is two patches with the same name and one is Sus, then the one that doesn't say Sus has like a decay modulation that's going to create these really short notes of like a groove thing. And I've only done it on a couple of the patches, but it just makes a really nice effect for some of them. One a patch that'll come up later on, you will hopefully agree that it sounds nice with that sort of little decay thing on. But I made a sustained version as well, so if you want to have longer notes, you can do that, or decide the note lengths yourself. I just really like to be able to put it, let it do the job for me basically, and record stuff. Just quickly reading the chat. Dada said, it's like starting up an old save of an RPG game. You know how to play the game, you just don't know where you are and what you were doing or why. Yeah, it's exactly like that so many times. Opening up patches and being like, I don't know how I did that, but I like it. So Stefan saying next pack has to be for a Styrus. Maybe. I don't like making presets with the virus. I've had a virus for many years. And I hate the preset browser. It's not that bad in Osiris. It's actually a lot better. But when I use the virus, I've always just made something and then kind of used it and just avoided using any of the preset stuff, which is silly because by now I probably would have a pack's worth of stuff. But yeah, hindsight. Anyways, let's continue. By the way, I have no idea what the next pack is going to be. I have no plans because I've just been putting 100% of my effort or whatever on this pack. So yeah, that's what I'm really thinking about at the moment. Yeah, I really love this patch. I could play with this forever. Quite straightforward with the macros. You've got some control over the space. You've got the cutoff texture. You can get some resonance going on with the filter, so you can get a bit of a different texture going on, which is quite nice. And you can choose from reverb or delay. And then up here it says play with the noise oscillator mod curve. So if you don't understand that, pop into the matrix and then noise oscillator. You can see the mod curve is slightly pushed up. If you mess around with that, you get different textures. Not all of them work particularly, but some of them sound really cool. Yeah, that's for you to play with though. Right, let's move on. This one's called Embryo. There's two Embryo patches. They're both sort of similar. They just have some different stuff going on in the macros. Yeah, I really like this patch because you can go from quite a thick, I think, FM tone through to this kind of material-like sort of glassy thing. Yeah, I really appreciate this patch a lot. And obviously you can have it morph between the two, so you move fluidly between these two textures, and that's something I really, really like. Yeah, I could play with that for a long time. I quite like this bit crush effect. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I like having a bit of that sometimes. Sometimes it's nice. Plus, it can really help things to, like, you know, come through the mix nicely. Okay, let's carry on. This one is similar, it just has like a flanger effect instead of a crush, and there's a couple other little bits that are different. It can still do a crushing effect down on macro 4 though. But yeah, that's for you guys to play around with. We've got Gritty FM, this one's called. So this is the first one we've encountered with this width knob. So I've done this plenty of times before in other packs and whatnot, but it's a mono compatible width knob. So you can make sounds wider, and no matter what, it's going to sound exactly the same in mono, because it's just even, or, well, for example, it's just even harmonics going to the left and odd harmonics going to the right. So nothing is ever actually clashing in terms of the left and right channel. There's only different information going from left to right. But what I really like about this, like, obviously being mono-compatible is great, but the fact we can just turn this up and you can listen to your track and just play with this knob, and you find the spot where it has the right width to fit in your track, because sometimes you want a sound that is like super wide. But sometimes you want it to, or you might already have something really wide happening, like a big wide effects. So you actually want to pull it in a little bit. You still want some width, but you want to pull it in so you get this nice tasty effects stuff or delay stuff going on in the sides. Okay, and then with the mod wheel, we're getting a sort of, we're getting an all pass. So this is something I've used a fair bit in this pack as well. These all pass filters can do some really, really interesting stuff, particularly for like squelches and things. And it gives it more of like a material-like feeling sometimes, rather than like, oh, it sounds like it just came straight out of the synth. It can also do some nice phasing, sort of flanging type stuff. Very cool. Anyways, I recommend you have a play with the all pass. It's more than meets the eye. It's very cool. Anyway, so yeah, this is just a, like I say, gritty FM, quite noisy, but I like the kind of upfrontness it has. And then we've got another one which is a similar patch, it's just set up a bit differently. It has like a different tonality. You know, with ones like this, where the difference between the patches mainly is the tuning of the oscillators. You'll see this one is 0 and 0, but on this one it's like -5. It's still going to play the correct pitch, the same pitch that you press on your keyboard. It's just that our carriers are pitched down, so we're getting different spectra going on and different interaction with the modulator. So yeah, you get a different tonality, but what's important about it is that when you're playing FM sounds on different keys, sometimes they don't sound quite as beefy on certain keys, like higher keys, or maybe you go too low and it feels wispy or whatever. I've set some of these patches up so it's going to play the right note and you can have that nice FM lead that you like, but you've got versions of it where some will sound better at higher pitches and some will sound better at lower pitches, just so that whatever key you're writing in, you can get a nice chunky FM lead. I'm just going to quickly read the chat. Krell says there are a lot of great ideas in these patches. Thank you very much. And thanks, Dropsy, for the mini modding. I appreciate that. Is it Solson? Is that how you say your name? You're asking for some feedback on a track. Join my Discord and chuck it in the feedback. Or there's actually quite a few Psytrance servers on Discord worth joining one if you need feedback on tracks. I'm pretty sure there's a friend of mine who's also a YouTuber who does feedback streams. Projector, you probably may have heard of him. He's pretty prolific. Check him out. He does a lot of feedback stuff and some good videos too. Oh, thanks, Nivrama. I appreciate the little the message you put there. That's very nice. It did take me a long time to get through to make this pack and be happy with it. So I'm hoping other people will be happy with it too. Yeah, I could play with that forever. Anyways. Yeah, this one's really cool. I like this one. A strong lead, I think. Hopefully you guys are enjoying going through the leads. I think they are quite solidly lead sounds. They take the interest, I think. Yep, carry on. Really like that one. To be honest, I really like a lot of the patches in here. More than I remembered, so that's good. So this timbre of this one is very similar to a patch in the original Vital Psy Volume 1, which I liked so much that I just had to recreate here, because I hadn't done it as a Serum patch before, so it's not exactly the same, as the Vital one anyways. It's got a lot of width going on, which is nice too. Anyways, let's continue. Can't have too many of those left now. Oh no, we still got a few. So there's a patch I spoke about earlier, which I said has like the decay modulation, and this is the one. I quite like it with this super short notes like this. really love that timbre where the pitch is just slightly modulating. Just quickly check the chat. Someone asking about CPU and RAM. I do notice with the patches where we use the noise oscillator, which is kind of most of them in this case, that it does eat up a bit more CPU, but I think it's well worth it for the textures that it gives. I probably would have maybe even stopped using Serum if I hadn't found out about this noise oscillator stuff. It's like really the basis of most of my synthesis nowadays. And then someone asking, is the skin ever coming out? I need to finish it. It's not done. I need to do all the FX and Matrix Global stuff and some other bits and bobs. But yeah, one day it'll be available. I just need to fire up Photoshop sometime when I get some spare time. Let's continue. Yeah, so there's a bunch of different versions of this lead. So they all just have different names at the end. They can all do slightly different things and have different textures and stuff going on. You know, depending on what key you're in, you might choose a different one. This one has real FM going on from the noise, but it also has this FM from A, so it's got phase modulation happening as well, which gives a really nice extra bit of texture, you know, because you can play it really low. To be honest, all these patches can play real low, no problem, but you still get a lot of texture, particularly with these ones with the added phase modulation. Oh yeah, and on this patch, we can kind of decide how much mix space, like spectrum space, it takes up with the modulator. It just changes the resonance, right? But we can either have quite a wide, like hungry mix-wise lead, or we can have it more sort of pokey. Just depends what you're after. Okay, and then yeah, there's lots of different versions here with like different types of modulation and stuff. Now we're going to move on to the effects section, because I realise we've been going for nearly an hour and a half and we haven't got to the biggest part yet, so let's get on with that. Okay, this is called Additive Farts. Yeah, some questionable names in this pack. Anyways, let's hear it. Let's decide whether we want to have autoplay or an arpeggiator quickly. Lucas says, I wish my farts sounded like that. Yeah, if you use Serum enough, they will. So with these ones, we've got this this macro, where it's sometimes called different things depending on which patch it is. But yeah, we've got control over how much of the modulation happens, and then if you turn it all the way up, you're going to get, you know, random in this case, or velocity or whatever. For those of you who've joined after I've explained that, in this patch there's a lot of these macros with an arrow in. If the arrow points to the right, it's generally going to mean turn the macro all the way to the right and you're going to get you know, something else. For instance, in this, where the cutoff is controlled by the macro, but if we turn it all the way to the right, it goes over to velocity. So here we've got the amount of laserify. If we turn all the way up, it's going to go random. Just seen ATFE and ATFE saying he's off. Take it easy, dude. I'm sure I'll see you soon. Let's continue on some other patches. This one is similar to the last one. I think it's just a different wave shape on the modulator. We've got control over the modulator pitch on this one as well. And this is, again, similar, but with, you know, different modulation, etc. So you will have noticed as well, all of these ones, these last few patches, have like a pitch bend thing going off. We can just turn that off with this macro here if you just want it to have straight pitch. It's just totally up to you. I really like what we get though when it's you know, going up and down in pitch. It kind of gives this sense of maybe urgency or something. Don't know. It sounds good though. Okay, and this one, I remember it says hold note, so let's see what happens if we hold note. Someone has, oh well, actually, 1 second. Mandala Vibe says, hey mate, nice stuff. Enjoying the sounds in the car. Thanks for all the hard work, much appreciated. Yeah, no worries, man. It is absolutely my pleasure. I absolutely love doing this stuff, so I hope you guys like what I've made. And someone has asked, I actually can't read what the name says because text is a bit small. But it says, can I ask a question? How do you control the bass sub? That's a whole thing to get into, which we're not going to do in this stream at all, I'm afraid. Jump in the server though, and there's a lot of people in there who will talk to you all about this. I'm sure. So yeah, the intention of these ones, called Crude Remap, the intention is just chuck them through a load of like reverb or like a load of delay, so you get the kind of sparkly stuff going on in the background. Quite enjoy that type of stuff. So there's a few of these patches. They're all made in a different way. They have different stuff they can do. You know, you get the point. That one is just kind of a weird patch, so you can, you know, kind of designed for like resampling, make weird stuff, stretch it, put it through things, turn it into risers and whatnot. Who knows? You get textures out of it, really. This one called Embryonic Fluid. I really like this patch. It's got a interesting thing going on about it. Yeah, really nice. I find this for like transition effects. Just kind of have this melting thing happen. Okay, so on this one you can see we've got a macro that says wide, mono, and pan. So random panning is all the way to the right. Mono down the center. Or you can have it be wide all the way to the left. So, you know, I wish I could have more macros, maybe 8 macros would be great, because I would love to have this type of control, and like width control and stuff on every patch so that it's super easy to put these sounds into your mix. Because I really find that is, you know, an important part with, you know, with Forest Psy or whatever. It's quite a busy genre, a lot of sounds, so you have to get things to kind of sit in the right spot in the mix. Also, sometimes there's going to be patches where there's like an upwards type of modulation and then a sort of alternative version of the same patch with like a downwards type of modulation. So that previous one had like a pitching down, I think, and then this one has like a pitching up. Unfortunately, I couldn't. Well, actually, I definitely could have made that all happen in one patch. Now I think about it, but I didn't, because it meant that I could do other things with the macros and stuff that I had. So yeah, let's carry on. So now we made it to these patches called magnetar. So because of the nature of the way these patch works, I had to make separate patches for each different note, which sucks, but that's just how I had to do it. I don't know if it's possible to do it any other way, but anyways, I really like this sound. It's sort of similar to like a comb lead thing, but it has a different sound to it that Serum can't produce in any other way, or I don't think it can anyway. But yeah, if you just listen to it, you'll see what I mean. Oh yeah, also, right now we're not in A sharp 0, are we? What are we in? Well, if we were in A sharp, very quickly. Quite enjoying the vibe up here though at the moment. Let's just check what key that is. Was it like D sharp or something? D. So we'll go through the magnetars, blah blah blah, until we get to D1. Here we go. In the chat, Stefan has said, care to elaborate why you had to make so many versions? When you buy the pack, pop into the FX section and you will see why. It's nothing crazy, it's just is the way it is. Cool, so yeah, I really like this patch. I find it's a really good supporting sound for kind of just about everything. Or it can punctuate parts of a phrase really nicely because it has quite a percussive thing going on about it, but very tonal also at the same time. So yeah, I like that patch a lot. Probably, well, maybe my favorite patch, that. Cool, we'll skip through the rest of the magnetars. Mycelium. Now this patch is a bit weird, but it's inspired by most of the patches have just come about purely through messing around, but this one I was interested in how a certain patch was done in a track by Omja. I didn't quite get to what the sound in that track, but I got fairly close, and yeah, it's just like really aggressively weird noise thing. Works particularly well at like a bit faster BPM and just almost more edging towards Darkpsy really. Let me just arpeggiate it. So yeah, kind of a noisy thing. And we've got this one's called Parva Bell. These are me trying to achieve a material-like sound, at least for part of the patch. Or at least that was the original idea, and then kind of messed around and ended up with some stuff. So yeah, on this one you can see we've got the cutoff, and all the way to the right is random, and then under we have spectra, so we can control what it's like controlling the pitch of the carrier in an FM patch. We control what spectra is being produced, and then up here we have texture, which is controlling well, in this case it's the pitch of one of the carriers, but this is controlling the texture. Almost like changing the modulator a bit, but that isn't actually what's going on here. But with that all the way up, we get kind of more metallic stuff going on, to with it down, slightly less metallic. Or maybe it is more metallic both ways, but it's just different, however you want to put it. Okay, we've got a few different flavors of this. Yeah, I feel like it gets towards that almost material-like sound, more realistic texture almost. So it's nice arpeggiated, and if you turn that off, you get kind of more almost squelch-like thing. And we've got a couple of patches, some called Pink Elephants and some called Spinning Tops, that are... They were originally me trying to create these kind of almost elephanty / trumpety things. It didn't work out, to be honest. But I did get these, which are kind of cool. So yeah, I think maybe you can hear where I was trying to get to with that. I am happy with the result. It wasn't what I was going for, but I think it's cool anyways. Okay, now we're around to these Roadrunner patches. So these Roadrunner ones, ideally, will be played with a arpeggiator or quick successions of notes. However you want to do it is up to you. And the idea with these Roadrunner patches is to kind of emulate a bird. Let's see what we can do with that. So with all of these Roadrunner ones, you're going to have a bit of control over the way it sounds, sort of the timbre of it, and the intonation and stuff. You're also going to have a control on whether Chaos is going to control it, or whether you're going to use Velocity. So if you want to do it yourself, put on Velocity mode, and then you can just put in the velocities to get the sound you want. Or you can just leave it on Chaos. If you do use it on Chaos mode, though, watch out for your gate length, because that is actually, for some reason, I think is the way the notes overlap. That affects the way the Chaos reacts, so be aware of that. There's quite a few of these Roadrunners, and they're all a little bit different as well, just so you know. Let's quickly just take a fixed velocity as well. So you can get an idea of some of the different textures you're going to be able to get out of this. I really like having this randomly in the track. I'm pretty sure I've got it in this demo somewhere. Yeah, I think it gives a nice bit of organic bird stuff going on. I don't know, I just really like that. Okay. Yeah, you get the point with these Roadrunner ones. They can make bird sounds. Or what I think is bird sounds anyway. Then this one is slightly more like robotic-y. But yeah, anyways, you can check that out when you get the pack, if you do decide to grab it. So yeah, this is the Spinning Tops, and this is the one I spoke about earlier when we looked at Pink Elephants. It's quite similar, but yeah, I can do some different stuff. Sounds a little bit different. So with this one, on this filter cutoff one, have it all the way down, it turns the filter off altogether. And then you have control over the filter in between off and all the way to the right. And then if you have it all the way to the right, it just velocity, yeah, it controls the filter cutoff with velocity instead. So yeah, you can control how it sits in the mix, you know. Is it just big and fits a large space? or is it more of like a, you know, smaller part of the spectrum? Oh yes, and so there's a few of these spinning tops ones, and they all have different mod wheels, maybe different macros, but definitely different mod wheels that let them do a few different things. Okay, this one's Spokes Persona 2.0, because there was a Spokes Persona patch in Volume 2, and I wanted to make it better, basically. Because one of the annoying things about it was that you had to tune it, like a lot of those patches from Volume 2, but this one, obviously, we fixed that in this one, so... yeah, it's not just that that's different though, there's a few different things it can do, the macros and stuff are different. It's a different patch. Similar sound to it though. And just to be transparent, this is heavily inspired by Crapple. He brought out an album or a release EP perhaps, whatever it was, called Forest Spokesperson, I think it was, something like that. Anyways, that inspired me to go make the original one, so yeah, thanks Crapple. Yeah, I quite like that spokesperson one. We got this patch Swamp Monster. If I remember correctly, this can do a couple things depending on how you play it. Yes, that's right. So if you have it on arpeggiator, you can get this kind of like plucking thing going on. Yeah, and if you don't arpeggiate it and we just have it as like a long note. Okie dokie, we made it through all the FX. So we've done atmospheres, FX leads. Let's pop onto the squelches. There's not loads of these, and there's mainly just like versions of stuff. But yeah, let's see what we can get out of these. So yeah, this one wants to be arpeggiated, really. So yeah, we can choose where in spectrum and what sort of spectra we want it to generate with this first knob. And then we got obviously cutoff and then modulation rate. So you can get this into the kind of almost lead-like range if you turn the mod rate right up. That's similar to some of the patches from Volume 2. But obviously, yeah, it's just the controller I've allowed it to have. And then we bring the mod rate down to get back into the kind of gloopy, squelchy stuff. And one thing I'd like to say as well is that I guarantee there's a lot of functionality that I have sort of skipped over. If you do decide to get the pack, you'll find lots of little sort of things that some of the patches can do, neat little bits and bobs, and depending on combinations of macros, you can start to get different things happening. Yeah, so the way you play these patches is obviously going to massively affect how they come across. So, you know, if you want those long, squelchy, long drawn out ones, obviously play a longer note. Or if you want it to be like quick fire little ones, then, you know, arpeggiator is going to do the job. Something I find really satisfying about this type of texture with the little squelches with the comb filter. Just reading the chat quick. Lucas says, I still haven't scratched the surface of Volume 2. Yeah, so what I really wanted from this pack was for it to almost be like an extension of Volume 2. I wanted to keep going in a similar vibe because I was super happy, and I am still really happy with Volume 2. And I wanted to keep it going that way. Just, you know, add the stuff in that is missing. But it was just working out what was missing that was quite hard. Anyhow, let's continue. Dada says, time to hit the hay. So yeah, I'll see you around, dude. Hopefully you can enjoy the pack sometime soon. I shall see you around. I guess the only problem is that I've sort of run out of sounds to make is that I really don't have an excuse not to finish a track now. But we shall see about that. And one of the neat things as well, because of the way I've done the modulation with the noise oscillator stuff, and that mix with the macros means that there's points between the patches where they have very similar timbre going on, so you could kind of seamlessly maybe move between from patch to patch and get sounds to kind of morph through into each other and stuff. At least theoretically, it sounds pretty cool. I like this patch as well because we can get the kind of bread and butter squelchy lead type thing going from it quite easily. You can do like a lot of more crazy stuff, but this very simple squelchy thing I really like from this. And again, we've got the Spectra knob, so you know we can sit it in the mix properly. And then, oops, onto the last few patches. So this one is a patch where I've used that all pass, and it really changes the texture and gives it more of like a material-like feeling to it. You'll notice I said that material-like type thing quite a few times. That's what I really wanted from a lot of these sounds, is for it to sound a bit less like it was synthesized, or at least to me sound more like it's almost like an object rather than just a sound from a synth. But yeah, this all pass really gives this a lot of texture. If I turn it off, it's nice, but if we turn it back on, it like puts it inside like a creaky door or some shit. It is like, just gives it texture. Okay, so that is it. We had a look at the atmospheres, FX, leads, and squelches. You can find out what's in the bonus. A lot of it's, you know, they're not like fully fleshed out patches. It's just mainly experimental bits and bobs. If you are interested in that, that's there. The basses, there are a few basses, and there's some quite weird bits and bobs going in there in some spots. We're not going to bother going through those because that will come through best when you check it out for yourself. Just to show off a little bit though, the basses we've heard throughout this have been one of the basses called Classic Bass. You know, and it sounds good enough to me across a lot of notes, like even way down at A#0. Nice and chunky. And it still works up in the higher registers as well. And then way back over here we've got there's a bass called Believe Bass, which is meant to be more towards the like kind of foresty but edging towards the more dance floory vibe. That's more like rolling, you know? Cool. So yeah, I'll just play through the demo one last time, and yeah, we'll call it there. Thanks everyone who came along. Oops, wrong key. Let me just fix that. Okay, cool. So yeah, thanks everyone who came along. Really hope you liked it. As much as I do. If you do plan to buy the pack, don't forget there's an intro offer. So when you come to the checkout, just in the discount field, put intro, so INTRO, and you'll get a discount. That's only going to last a couple days though. So yeah, if you want to make use of that, then do so immediately. I know some people have been having a little bit of trouble with PayPal payments for some reason. If there is an issue, just message me. I'm sure I can help you out. And yeah, otherwise, again, thanks for turning up, guys. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's nice to chat and show you guys my new product. Yeah, I'm gonna start wrapping up now. Yeah, I will see you guys around. And if you're in my server, yeah, I'll see you there. Bye bye for now.